Hey, good morning, everybody. Tyler Finken here with Ancillary Ambassadors, sitting here with my co-founder, Mr. Mitch Fink. Mitch, welcome back to the office, buddy.
Good morning. Glad to be here, Tyler.
Hey, glad to have you, buddy. Always a good time. So just want to jump right into it. You and I were having a conversation yesterday. You had brought up on the phone about somebody that gave you a call that was just in the industry and is struggling a little bit. Tell me a little bit about that phone call. How'd that go for you?
Yeah, yesterday, just driving along, got a phone call from a good friend of mine who just recently entered the insurance world. He just got licensed, started his training process, and this gentleman's selling cancer, heart attack, and stroke. And the first words out of his mouth were, "Hey, Mitch, how you doing? Yada, yada." And he said, "Hey, what do you do on your bad weeks?" And I hated to give him the response, but in the 15 years I've been doing this, I just didn't have a lot of bad weeks. I had a lot of bad start to weeks, but I never really had bad weeks or a bad week. And the reason why that is, through talking to him and asking questions, I first off said, "Are you following your sales system?" And he said, "Well, what system?" And I was like, all right, light bulb went off.
Yeah, not a good start.
I said, man, what do you mean? And he said, well, I don't really have a system. He goes, I know my products, but I don't have like a system. And I said, well, what I mean by a system is, you need to talk to X amount of people per day and present the product to X amount of people per day and set X amount of appointments. There's a formula. And he said, well, I wasn't really trained a system. I was given a lot of product knowledge. And he goes, I know my products in and out. And I said, well, what are you doing to get this, get the products in front of people?
Right.
And he said,
product knowledge doesn't do any good if you don't have a track to run on.
Exactly. He just didn't have a track to run on, really.
Right.
And so I started explaining to him what a sales system does. I told him, I said, you've got to go and see this many people. You're going to set this many appointments. You're going to present X amount of people out of them appointments. And if you follow a system, you'll have a guaranteed closing ratio. Mm-hmm. So what that does is it gives him a target every single day. I need to see this many people to set this many appointments to present to this many people to sell X amount of policies. And he said, yeah, he goes, man, I got nothing like that. He goes, I'm just driving around, just talking to businesses, talking to farmers and ranchers, and I don't know how many people I should see. I don't know what my closing ratio is. There's all of these compounding factors that he just had no idea that existed. He knows his products, knows that he's got a great plan to sell, just doesn't have a formula or a system to go ahead and get that in front of enough people. So when I started talking to him, he started to realize the importance of a system. You could just tell in the tone of his voice that he started to have a target. So what's so unique about like what you and I have created mm-hmm. is we have a section of our training workshop called Compounding Factors. It shows you exactly how many people that you need to talk to. Mm-hmm. And of those people, you're going to set X amount of appointments. And of those people, only so many are going to allow you to show the product. And we track all the metrics. We know what your closing ratio is based on the products that we provide to sell. So if every new agent or veteran agent wakes up in the morning and says, hey, I got to see 10 people today because I'm not going to hit, with my closing ratio, I'm not going to hit the numbers in success that I need. So it gives them a target. And that's why I love what we offer is we've got a section that teaches you, hey, you've got a target to hit. You've got a daily routine that you need to stick to be successful. And that's what makes our product so unique. It dissects everything that you need to do to be successful. And once I talked to that young man, I said, hey, we've got to get a system in place for you. We've got to get a target, a daily goal of people you need to do. And then we need to track your closing ratio. And he said, man, that makes so much sense. He goes, it gives me a little bit more of a direction. And if you're an agency owner or just an independent person, that's why it's so important to have a system. And that's why we felt that it was so important to develop a training workshop that involved compounding factors and have a system to give people a target to be successful.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. No, that's awesome. Tracking and tracking all the metrics and everything is a huge part of it. Something you always say to me is, we've got it down to a science. If you see 10 people or you try to see 10 people in a week, you'll probably get in front of 8 of them and you'll show the product to 6 of them. Or you've got all the numbers. You know what they are. But something you said to me earlier that really kind of stuck with me was, when you said, when the guy asked you what happens when you have a bad week, and you said, well, I've never had a bad week. I've had bad starts to weeks, but I've never had a bad week. That seems to me like a bad start to the week motivates you, and it pushes you to get to that next level, to get to see that many number of people that you have to see in a week in order to make those sales, even though the week may have not have started as good as you wanted to. So I think what we see oftentimes is, especially in newer agents, or if you try to teach somebody a new concept or something, they have a bad start to the week and then they get discouraged, think that, well, heck, this doesn't work. I'm going to go back to what I was doing. They get back into their rut and everything, and it's hard to get back out of. You're kind of the opposite. What gives you that little push to get you out of that bad start and gives you the drive to continue to see more people and hit your numbers?
The system, what's cool, that's an awesome question. The system is so awesome because it's proven. We know we have a closing percentage. Okay, now obviously veterans are going to have possibly a little higher closing ratio than somebody that's brand new. So we know that if you follow that system, so let's just say that you start off your week and you talk to 7 people and you just don't set the appointments you want, or maybe you don't get the sales that you want. We know you've got to see, like, let's say 20 people at the end of the week. So you've got that first 10 out of the way. So now you're on the home stretch. You're on the home stretch of your success. Mm-hmm. So most people in that first 10, when they get the no's or they don't set the appointments or the presentation, they didn't close the sale, it takes a hit to their confidence. Mm-hmm. They sit back and they go, I'm just not cut out for this. This just isn't for me. Right. Oh, man, that's not how it is. It's part of the system. You have to have the no's in this system to get the yeses. Right. So the way I've programmed my mind, and I've seen this system pay off, I've programmed my mind that first 10 no's, or those first 5 people you talk to that you didn't set the appointment with, is just part of that process. Great, we've got the negative part of the process out of the way. Now the home stretch is going to be where you make your money, is where you're going to make the appointments, you're going to make the presentations, and you're going to close the sale. Yep. But what's so unique about it is you got to follow the system. Exactly. That's why it's so important to have a step-by-step system that dissects every single part of a sales presentation. Right. That's what we provide. So I've seen the system work enough, and the numbers don't lie. I have tried to outsmart the sales system so many times and prove it wrong. It doesn't happen, man. Right. It doesn't happen. The system we use is a proven technique that sells policies, but you got to see X amount of people. You got to get it in front of X amount of people every week. Yep, exactly. So, and you've built a team and you've done it yourself and everything. So like you said, it works. So that's one thing that we always preach is we try to give our agents a track to run on. That's exactly what Mitch has built here with Ancillary Ambassadors in this training program. So, head on over to Facebook, join our Facebook page, Ancillary Ambassadors. We've got a lot of content on there for you. This was just a tiny little tidbit. Got a lot more in-depth stuff on there. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel that we're going to have up and running here soon. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Mitch or I. Would be happy to talk with you. So thank you. You bet. Thanks.